What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And today, ladies and gentlemen, I've got a story time for y'all I think you're going to really enjoy from back in my childhood. I don't think I've ever told this one before. It's about a time I was playing airsoft with a group of my friends and one of them kept cheating. So I decided to teach him a little bit of a lesson. Overall, it's a pretty funny story in my opinion. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. So without further ado, let's go. So when I was like a sophomore, junior in high school, me and my friends had gotten into playing airsoft. For those of you that don't know what it is, like here in the States, we have these toy gun things that shoot these like plastic pellets, and they sting a little bit when they hit you, but you can kind of shoot them at each other and have fun. I would say they hurt less than paintball. Like, I wouldn't want a kindergartner running around shooting other kindergartners with it type of vibe, but like, you know, we were 15, 16 years old. If we decided to just have a little bit of a war, it was what we were going to do. And a bunch of my good friends, a bunch of friends in my neighborhood had all gotten into it, and we kind of lived on like the outskirts of town at the time. Ever since then, they've built a crap ton of houses, but we used to kind of live on this little spot where it was just a bunch of desert behind us. So after school, we'd finish our homework, grab the airsoft guns, run out in the desert, and just kind of shoot the crap out of each other. And it was really fun, and for the most part, we played on the honor system because you really can't tell if you hit someone, you know, like you think you can see it hit them, but there's not a mark, it doesn't leave paint or anything, so for the most part, you're playing on the honor system. If you get hit, you're just supposed to say, I got hit, and usually people were pretty good about it because it did hurt, and if you were cheating, then like people would just keep shooting you. So for the most part, everyone would just kind of raise their hand and say they were out. And one weekend, a bunch of friends that I was friends with came over and they brought our airsoft guns, and we decided that we were going to go play in the desert. So I went around to the rest of the kids in the neighborhood who played and I rounded everybody up. And we had probably about 20 people that were going to go play in the desert, like a pretty solid group, 10v10. It was gonna be really fun, so we all get everybody out there. And on the way out to the desert to play, everyone's talking about how, you know, since there's more people, it's gonna be a little harder to tell when people get hit. So like, seriously, just call your hits, don't cheat. And everyone is saying like, oh yeah, obviously we're not gonna cheat. And listen, I didn't think anybody was, and to be honest, it doesn't make sense for them to admit it. Like, if they were gonna cheat in the game, it's not like they would take the chance to go, yeah guys, I'm still gonna cheat regardless. Like, we just wouldn't have played with them. So obviously the person who was cheating is like, nah, I'm not doing that. Either way, we get out there, you know, agree to not cheat, split up into teams. We pick the teams and it ends up being about 10v10. So we say we're gonna go about 500 yards away from each other. So we're walking out there and all 10 people on my team are like, this is gonna be awesome. It's gonna be so much fun. Where we had gone in the desert, had a bunch of different like topography. Usually the desert's pretty flat, but where we had gone, there was a bunch of berms and ravines and whatnot, so there was actually places to hide, and there was like big rocks, so we were gonna have ourselves a pretty good time running around out here playing airsoft. So we get about 500 yards away from each other, and we can't see each other very well, and so someone on my team calls someone on the other team. Like, that's how far away we were from each other, and he asks if they're good to go, and he's like, yeah, we're good to go, man, come on, what are you think I am, an idiot? Like, oh, dude, of course we're ready to go. Just very intense for no reason, and my friend's like, all right, well then let's go. So the game's officially started. A bunch of people are kind of breaking off into different groups and whatnot, and I see this kind of tallish berm over to my right, and I don't know why I decided to run over there, but I just start running over there, and it takes me a bit, and as I start to go up the berm, I look back to my left, and I see everyone in my team has kind of gotten to this like ravine and this other berm that was on the other side, and they're looking over and starting to like yell and communicate with each other. And as I start to go up the berm, I can see over where they are, and I see that there's even more of their team, the other team, coming towards those guys. And they're also hiding behind ravines and berms, and it's starting to look like everyone's kind of dug in and just kind of shooting at each other. And this is when it can get kind of awkward and turn into a stalemate because no one can actually run across the open field towards the other side when everyone's got good cover, you know? But I realized that from my berm, I can kind of get on top of the berm and run alongside it and get behind the other team. So I decide to do the ultimate flank maneuver, you know, go full Call of Duty mode, and I just start running along this berm. But I'm still watching them fight back and forth, and I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty cool. I've never been to like any crazy airsoft events. I've seen footage on YouTube of ones where they have like MRAPs and Hummers and whatnot, and everyone's just like, it's a 300v300 game. That looks nuts, but this is the biggest airsoft game I was ever a part of, alright? And it looks like the beginning of a Battlefield game, just like all these people running at each other and whatnot. But I'm just kind of keeping an eye on it as I go down this berm, and eventually I get to this point in the berm where I'm kind of diagonally behind the other team, and I see two of the friends that had come over to my house to play sitting in a bush about 30 yards in front of me. So obviously, I know that they don't see me, I see them, so I do what you do in an airsoft war or a Nerf war, and so I shoot one of them. And the second I hit one of them in the back, I duck below the berm, so that way when he turns around, he won't see me. And I'm just hoping he calls himself out. And the first guy I hit calls himself out. He says, I don't know where I got hit from, but I got hit. And we had a few respawns, so he just has to walk back and he can come back. So he starts walking away, and when he's past the point where he's gonna see me, I pop back up and I start shooting my other friend who's also behind that bush. And I know that I can hit him because I had just hit the other guy who had called his hit. And I watch the first bullet, like the way the light was, I can see like the BB, the white of the BB, the plastic, like reflecting, and I watch it go and hit him in the back, and I watch his body react like he just got hit in the back, right? Like he does like a ooh, like a little pinch on his back thing, but he doesn't call himself out. And I'm like, all right, maybe he doesn't know what it was, so I'll just hit him one more time and like he'll probably call it. So I shoot him a second time, same thing. I watch it go, hit the same spot on his back, and this time I know it hits him because he like jumps up from being crouched and turns around and looks. And I don't know how he doesn't see me, but somehow he doesn't see me, and he looks for a little bit, turns back around, and keeps shooting. And now I'm like, oh, this guy's cheating. I know I've hit him twice, he's just not gonna call his hits. And so I decide I'm gonna give him one more, I'm gonna double tap him, and that should really make him know. I'm gonna give him one more chance before I start calling him out for cheating, right? So I pop back up and I go doof doof, and those two hit him in the back. This time he gets up and he yells out like, where are you? And listen, man, that's not really how the game works. I'm not about to reveal my position that I just got Mr. Flank-a-lot over here after running 500 yards. I'm not about to tell you where I am. So now I know he knows he's getting hit, so I'm just waiting for him, and I pop back up, and he's turned back around and is in the bush. So now I've hit this dude with 4 BBs, he's called out because he knows someone's behind him, and he's still just not going to call himself out. So I decide at this point I've got 2 options. I can either yell out that I know you're cheating, start an argument, all this stuff, and then like, you know, probably get shot by everyone else on his team because I'm really close to them compared to the rest of my team. Or I can do something that's gonna force him to call himself out. We had made another rule before the game started that we just were not going to use fully automatic. Airsoft guns can shoot really, really fast, fully automatic, and like it's just kind of a pain in the butt. So we had a rule that we were just gonna play with semi-auto so that way no one would get like overshot. But since this guy's not calling his hits, I figure that the only thing that I can do is to hit him with BBs until he decides to call himself out, right? So I flip my gun into like fully automatic mode. Keep in mind, it's shooting plastic BBs. Like it's going to hurt, yeah, but it's not like it's going to leave like a ginormous mark. Everything's gonna be okay. And I pop back up and I look at my friend and I just open it up, man. I'm like, brrr. And I just see the stream of BBs. Like when you shoot really fast in an airsoft gun, you can kind of see like the stream of all the BBs going towards him, just the plastic BBs. And I watch them and I kind of pull it like up his back, and it goes up his back, and he stands up and just starts screaming, ow, 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 I'm hit, I'm hit, I'm hit. And I yelled out like, oh, I couldn't tell, because I just couldn't resist. And he looks up at me and goes, you've been hitting me? And I said, yeah, and you haven't been calling it, so are you out now? And I'm still holding the trigger this entire time. And he's like, yes, stop. And in the amount of time it took for that to happen, I had probably shot like 100 BBs, which, listen, overkill, absolutely. In retrospect, if I could do it again, would I have shot him that much? Probably not, like it was unnecessary. But at the same time, cheating was unnecessary, and I'm just doing what I gotta do, you know what I mean? Like if you would have just called yourself out, I would have never had to use full auto mode. But whatever, he says he's out and he starts walking. At that point, the rest of his team obviously sees me because I just like yelled out. So I get hit and I come off the berm to start walking back. And as I'm walking back, he walks towards me and he's like, what was your problem, bro? Why did you do that? And I'm like, man, come on. Like, you know, I gave you a bunch of chances to call yourself out. Like I was hitting you in the back and you just wouldn't do it. So I just like full autoed you. And he's like, yeah, but we agreed to no full auto. You broke the rules. And I'm like, yeah, man, but you broke the rules by not saying you got hit. Like, I'm not disagreeing with you that I also broke a rule here, but I broke a rule because you were breaking a rule. And he's like, well, that doesn't make it right. Which, fair enough, it doesn't, but I also feel like you can't get mad at me for using full auto when you weren't calling yourself out, They just kind of cancel each other out, and I was gonna let it slide. Like, at that point, I thought it had been all good. I wasn't gonna be like, oh, you cheated. At that point, I didn't care. I feel like I had gotten my point across, and it was kind of funny. But yeah, he was mad at me for a bit. He didn't talk to me for the rest of the day. He was all ignoring me. He was very angry at me, and he did get over it. He was still one of my very, very good friends, an absolute G of a guy. But that day, he was a little pouty about it. And after that, I never saw him cheat at any other game after that, man. Even board games and stuff, he's usually by the book. So maybe that's the only time he ever tried to cheat in any game, and he just got full autoed in the back. Like I said, I wouldn't do it again. I just thought it was a pretty funny story. I don't think I've told this one here on the channel before, so if you enjoyed it, I'd really appreciate y'all taking a second to press the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments section down below. I know this one's shorter. I've got long ones coming. I just got a new office set up together, so I've been busy setting that up. That's why there was no uploads for a bit, but we're coming back, baby. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and hopefully I'll see you guys all next time with another video. Check me out on Spotify, link down below. And yeah, on that note, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.